Ever find yourself wondering, like, who keeps the financial world from falling apart?
Right. It's not something you think about every day.
No, but today we are. We're taking a deep dive into the world of auditing clerks. And let me tell you, it's way more interesting than it sounds.
Yeah, auditing clerk doesn't exactly scream glamour, but trust me, the work is crucial, and actually it's surprisingly fascinating once you get into it.
Totally. So for this deep dive, we're tapping into RoleCatcher. They're like this career development platform with tons of info on different jobs, and they've got a whole section on auditing clerks.
Oh yeah, RoleCatcher. I'd used them before. They're great. They really lay out the skills you need, the career path, even interview tips. It's super helpful for anyone, like, considering this kind of job.
Right. And one thing that jumped out at me was RoleCatcher emphasizing the variety in this role. It's not just about staring at spreadsheets all day, which, don't get me wrong, spreadsheets are definitely part of it.
Uh-huh. Yeah, you got to be comfortable with those. But
Right.
it's more than that.
Right. So paint me a picture. What's a typical day like? Or is there even such a thing as typical for an auditing clerk?
Good question. Honestly, that's part of the appeal. One day you might be verifying inventory, making sure what's on the books actually exists in the warehouse.
Okay, so like making sure they're not short a few thousand cans of beans or something.
Exactly. And then the next day, you could be diving into expense reports, making sure those add up.
Following the money trail.
Totally. Or maybe even auditing payroll, making sure employees are being paid correctly. So yeah, variety is definitely the name of the game.
That's so interesting. So you really need that sharp eye for detail, right? Catching those little discrepancies that others might miss.
Absolutely. RoleCatcher uses this great phrase, a blend of technical skills and soft skills. And that really captures it. You need that solid foundation in accounting principles, things like GAAP, that's generally accepted accounting principles, which is kind of like the rule book for accounting.
Makes sense. Can't
Right.
just be winging it with company finances.
Exactly, but you also need those problem-solving skills, the ability to think critically, and those all-important communication skills.
Right. Because you can't just point at a spreadsheet and be like, something's wrong. Yeah. You've got to be able to explain it.
Well,
Okay.
100%. And that's actually something RoleCatcher emphasizes, the collaborative aspect. You're not just working in isolation, you're interacting with accountants, managers, even external auditors sometimes. So being able to explain your findings clearly and concisely is key.
It's like being a financial detective who can also present their case in court.
Haha, I like that analogy.
Yeah.
Because you really are piecing together information, looking for inconsistencies, and then, yeah, you've got to be able to communicate what you found in a way that makes sense to everyone involved.
So it's definitely not just about being good at math, although I imagine that helps. But you also need that ability to work with people, explain complex stuff in a way that clicks.
You nailed it. And that brings us to another really important aspect that RoleCatcher highlights, career growth.
Ooh, career growth. Now we're talking. So tell me, where can this role take you in the long run?
Okay, so you start as an auditing clerk, right? But that doesn't mean you're stuck there forever. Think of it as a stepping stone.
I like the sound of that.
Right. From there, you could move up to senior auditing clerk, then maybe an audit supervisor. Some people even use it as a springboard into broader accounting or finance roles.
Now that's what I'm talking about, climbing that career ladder. I know certifications are a big deal in this field. Does RoleCatcher talk about that at all?
Oh, yeah, for sure. They've got a whole section on certifications. Those letters after your name can be a game changer, showing potential employers that you've got the knowledge and the skills.
Right, so it's not just about what you know, it's about what you can prove you know.
Exactly. And there are a bunch of different certifications you can get depending on your interests and career goals. We're talking about things like the CIA, that's Certified Internal Auditor, or the CPA, which is Certified Public Accountant.
I've definitely heard of those, but to be honest, I don't really know the difference. Can you break that down for us a little?
Sure. So a CIA, or Certified Internal Auditor, focuses more on a company's internal controls, risk management, stuff like that. They're all about making sure things are running smoothly on the inside.
Got it. Keeping things in check from within.
Exactly. Whereas a CPA, Certified Public Accountant, they've got a broader scope. They can do things like prepare taxes, provide financial advice, and of course, audit financial statements for all sorts of organizations.
Okay, so CPAs are more like financial all-rounders.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. They have a really diverse range of skills and can work with all kinds of clients. And then there's the CFE.
CFE, what's that one all about?
So CFE stands for Certified Fraud Examiner. As the name suggests, these guys are all about sniffing out fraud.
Ooh, No, that sounds intense.
It can be. It's a highly specialized area, and it requires a deep understanding of fraud detection techniques, legal frameworks, all that good stuff. They're often brought in to investigate potential financial crimes.
Like the Sherlock Holmes of accounting.
Exactly. They're trained to look for those subtle red flags, follow the paper trail, and build a case. It's fascinating work, actually, but it takes a certain kind of person to do it well.
I bet. So basically, even within the world of auditing clerks, there are all these different paths you can take depending on your interests and skills.
That's what's so great about it. And that's why I think RoleCatcher is such a valuable resource. They really break down all those options and help you figure out which path might be the best fit for you.
Yeah, it's like having a career counselor in your pocket.
Exactly. And speaking of RoleCatcher, did you get a chance to check out their interview tips?
Oh, yeah. Those were super helpful. They had all these sample interview questions specifically for auditing clerk positions, which I thought was brilliant.
Right. It's like having a cheat sheet for your interview.
Totally. And they even have this, get this, an AI-powered practice interview tool.
Wait, really? That's so cool. I haven't tried that one yet.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. You basically answer interview questions, and then the AI analyzes your responses, your delivery, even your body language.
Wow, that's next level. Talk about taking the stress out of interview prep.
Right. I mean, it's one thing to practice your answers in your head, but to actually have AI give you feedback, that's game-changing. So,
Yeah.
yeah, major props to RoleCatcher for thinking of that one.
Seriously, they've really thought of everything. But with all this talk about skills and technology, it's important to remember the human element of this job, too.
Oh, absolutely. Because at the end of the day, auditing clerks aren't just dealing with numbers, they're dealing with people. And that's something RoleCatcher really highlights, isn't it? That human side of things, even in a field that's often seen as all about numbers.
Yeah, totally. They actually talk about how important communication and interpersonal skills are for auditing clerks.
Which makes sense when you think about it. Because even though you're analyzing data and using all these fancy tools, you're also interacting with colleagues, clients, even external auditors sometimes.
Exactly. I mean, you might be the one to uncover a discrepancy or identify a potential problem, and that means you need to be able to communicate those findings in a way that's clear, respectful, and maybe even a little bit diplomatic.
Right. You can't exactly storm into a department waving a spreadsheet and be like, you guys messed up the numbers.
Definitely not. It's much more about collaboration and problem solving. Remember, you're not there to catch people out. You're there to help the company improve its financial health.
It's more like you're all on the same team working towards a common goal, even if it doesn't always feel that way.
Exactly. And that's where those soft skills come in. Being able to build relationships, communicate effectively, and work through challenges together, those are all essential qualities for a successful auditing clerk.
It's like you're a financial therapist, helping companies understand and improve their financial well-being.
I love that analogy because it really highlights the importance of trust and rapport. People need to know they can come to you with questions or concerns without fear of judgment.
And on that note of trust and technology, we have to talk about automation. Because it's clear that technology is changing the game for auditing clerks, just like it is for so many other professions.
Oh, absolutely. We're living in the age of big data, which means auditing clerks have access to incredibly powerful software and data analysis tools that can do things humans could only dream of a few decades ago.
It's kind of mind-blowing when you think about it. Instead of spending weeks or even months pouring through spreadsheets manually, these tools can sift through mountains of data in seconds, identifying patterns and anomalies that would take a human ages to find.
It's like having a superpower. You can zero in on the important stuff instantly.
Okay, but I have to ask, because it's a question on everyone's mind, are robots coming for auditing clerk jobs?
It's a valid question, especially with all the talk about AI and automation these days, and honestly, it's something RoleCatcher addresses directly, which I appreciate.
Oh, good. So what's the verdict? Are we all going to be replaced by robots?
Well, the short answer is no, not necessarily. But the role of an auditing clerk is definitely evolving, and that's where things get really interesting.
Okay, so less robots are taking over and more robots are becoming our new coworkers.
Exactly. Think of it this way. As automation takes over those repetitive manual tasks like data entry and basic calculations, auditing clerks are freed up to focus on higher level analysis, critical thinking, and those all-important soft skills we talked about earlier.
So it's less about being a human calculator and more about being a strategic advisor.
Exactly. As technology takes on those more routine tasks, auditing clerks can really dig into the data, identify risks, and provide valuable insights to their organizations.
So it's almost like technology is enhancing the role of an auditing clerk, allowing them to operate at a higher level rather than replacing them altogether.
Right. It's like that old saying, work smarter, not harder. Except in this case, technology is helping you work smarter and de-unlock a whole new level of expertise.
Which is where those certifications come in, right?
Yeah.
Because they show potential employers that you're not just keeping up with the times, you're ahead of the curve.
Absolutely. They demonstrate a commitment to professional development and a deep understanding of the evolving world of finance.
So you're not just an auditing clerk, you're a tech-savvy, insight-generating financial superhero.
Haha, maybe not a superhero, but definitely a highly sought-after professional.
And speaking of seeking, RoleCatcher has some incredible resources for anyone actually looking to land one of these jobs.
Oh, yeah, they do. Have you had a chance to check out their job board?
I did. It's super user-friendly. I was impressed by how many auditing clerk positions were listed there. It's clear that this is a field with a lot of opportunities.
It really is. And with the way technology is evolving, I think we're only going to see more and more demand for skilled auditing clerks in the future.
Makes sense, especially with all the data companies are collecting these days. Someone's got to make sure it all makes sense.
You got it. And that's why it's so important to have those skilled professionals who can bridge the gap between the numbers and the people behind them.
It's that human element that really makes this whole thing click, doesn't it?
It really does. I mean, we can talk all day about spreadsheets and algorithms.
And we have.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, it's people making decisions, people running businesses, and those decisions have a ripple effect.
Totally. And those ripples are felt way beyond just the balance sheet, right?
Absolutely. Think about it like this. Every financial transaction tells a story.
Okay, I like where you're going with this.
Right. Like who's involved, what are their motivations, what's the impact? And auditing clerks, they're kind of like the interpreters of those stories.
Ooh, I like that. Financial storytellers.
Yeah.
So they're not just looking at numbers, you're looking for the why behind the numbers.
Precisely. And that's where that human element is so crucial.
Because numbers can tell you what happened, but it takes a human to figure out why it happened. And maybe even more importantly, how to prevent it from happening again if it shouldn't.
Exactly. And to communicate those findings effectively to the people who need to hear them.
So for anyone listening who's drawn to the world of finance, but also enjoys that human element, that problem-solving aspect, this could be a really fulfilling career path.
I think so. It's a fantastic blend of analytical thinking, attention to detail, and good old-fashioned people skills.
And with the way technology is evolving, it sounds like the role of an auditing clerk is only going to become more vital in the years to come.
Oh, absolutely. As businesses become more data-driven, the demand for skilled professionals who can make sense of all that information is only going to grow.
It's almost like the more complex the world gets, the more important it is to have those people who can keep things in check, keep things honest.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Auditing clerks, they're the unsung heroes of the financial world.
They really are. So as we wrap up this deep dive, what's the key takeaway you want our listeners to walk away with today?
I think it's that the world of auditing is a lot more dynamic and, frankly, a lot cooler than many people realize. It's not just about crunching numbers. It's about using your skills to make a real impact on businesses, organizations, even the whole financial system. And with the right combination of technical expertise, critical thinking, and those all-important people skills, there's incredible potential for growth and fulfillment in this field.
That's a perfect note to end on.
Yeah.
It's been a fascinating deep dive, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. Eye-opening and insightful, as always.
And for our listeners, if this sparked your curiosity, don't let it end here. Maybe do a little digging of your own, check out RoleCatcher, or even reach out to an auditing clerk. You never know what you might learn. Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and we'll catch you on our next deep dive.